Oh, you got another show tonight?
Yep.
That's good. Was this thing working last week or 2 weeks ago, Terry? The video feed?
Yes, I believe so. I didn't hear any.
Because, you know, I look at it online from here and I didn't see anything.
Okay.
Kind of wondering about it at times.
Now, I just tried it now.
Uh-huh.
To set up our video feed, not the Mitchell Telecom one.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get the Justin TV one to work.
Okay, you see, that's the one that I checked.
But I got the YouTube, there's one on YouTube, we do two of them.
Oh, really?
And the YouTube one seems like it's working a little bit better.
Okay.
So that's the one. And see, the thing with Justin TV, it only stays on there for 3 days.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And where the YouTube is kind of unlimited. So that's probably the one we're going to be going to.
Is that YouTube or UTV or something?
I think it is YouTube.
Okay.
Now, it sounds like we also had an issue the last 3 weeks with the actual video, audio. Coming from, did you guys hear anything about that? Or?
No, I'll tell you what though, the microphones were way off whack last meeting too.
Okay.
Extremely low. Everybody's level was low except for the podium man.
Well, then we turn it up halfway through, or? I
Not
thought
that I
there was
remember,
something.
but I was really sucking for,
Okay.
you know, for volume. And it was like, you know, the mayor's mic and the council mics and stuff like that were way down.
Oh, they were.
I mean, they were talking, and I think it was the podium mic that was picking them.
I wonder if they weren't, and I don't know hardly a lot about this thing, so.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was some event that was using it and they turned it way down for that.
And
And
then people would leave their
Yeah.
bacon hands off the
Exactly.
stuff. They
Now
don't-
with this deal,
This I don't know about.
someone from City Hall said they watched it every night while watching for the council.
Yeah.
And they said you had to really turn up your volume really high in order to hear it, but then it'd be really baffled. So then we said, well, maybe it's an issue with their control box. And because you guys don't have any issue with the
This
audio.
year, no, but the problem is, like I said last time, the audio was way too low.
But we talked about even not having them use their own box and go through this box for their audio. But I guess that's what they did before, and that's why Mark got that other little box.
Well, he's smart to get the other box.
But we did a test, and the test actually worked out good today, so hopefully whatever happened, yeah.
I'll try it out.
Yeah, I'm not doing too well. I know. Actually, last year they didn't start very well. They started, yeah. I thought, oh, no, we're gonna have it. Where did Valentine come back? At least they're close to 500. And they do have a tough group. Yeah. Well, he was kind of, should have retired. Could have went out and just waved glory. Well, that's where Rivera, he just went out and raised it. Rick Rivera. Oh, yeah. He figured out and then did well. He figured out and then did well. This early, lot. I kind of hoping Memphis is full right now.
No, no, he's done. And he's another one who could very easily walk away right now.
Well, everything
You got 2 championship rings, you got a 6-man player, you got a rookie of the year award. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he's,
walk away, don't beat up your body anymore.
look at his, college career.
Now go back and finish college. I mean, the money he's made, he can hire it sooner.
Wow. Did I tell you that it was funny when I went to Memphis? A year ago? Yeah. Last year. One of our SC group meetings to the president. And I had a buddy of mine from Tennessee fix me up at the airport and stay a day at his house and open up. And that's one of the first billboards you see right outside the airport. It was welcome back, Mike. I go, oh, wait a minute. I don't think he played it very well.
Was that,
How long was he in Memphis? 4.
I think for a couple of seasons, then he wound up with the Wizards, and then he did that one disastrous year with the Wolves.
Yeah, he didn't. I think he was with the Magic probably longer than anyone.
Yeah. Yep, he was with the Magic.
That was his first year.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
yep.
Got to be. And that's when he's on fire. Yeah. Is he still on the TV? I'm good.
I'm good. Nice day out there.
I have to tell you, I was sitting at Taco John's and 8 cars just go right through, stop, well, obviously they just don't do the
Raise
side.
your right hand and repeat after me.
Drive down, turn around, go read the sign, turn around in Salvation Army parking lot, come back, go the other way.
Yes, they will.
We had,
8 different cars while I was there for 15 minutes. They just all drive through, turn around in Salvation Park.
last Wednesday, the mayor and I were out looking at some stuff. And, we poured in section fronts on the top. And a gal went right up to the barricade. She stopped in the new concrete, sunk down, like, this, we poured it in the morning, this was after lunch. Sunk down like that. And, she got, walked contractor
No, I really don't
took
care.
a picture with
That's my day.
and Lexington, and they said, what the hell, aren't you watching the film? We love to be there, as you saw. And she says, well, I had to get in there, right?
You noticed I didn't sit.
So we hurried up and it was nice being so close to. Another yard, and we kind of filled it in, and we're gonna see how it's gonna.
I really just watching that. All you guys.
There's, and originally we had 3 cars. And I didn't think, I didn't think they were.
I supposed to believe.
We lined up our full barricades at the end. That way they can see it.
Telling Jerry that Dr. John's watching other people who can't read. They're going south, north on Sanborn. That's Sanborn. Right across the intersection, says road closed. They just drive straight up there until the barricades are there, turn around and park the Terry, here we go. Drive back, take left, and go out and around. 8 different cars. I was there for 15 minutes. 8 different cars.
Hey.
Drove up.
Oh, thanks.
Say,
Yeah,
we want to add Garden of Eden
Garden of Eden,
at the
okay.
bottom of Public Works.
Oh, of course.
And they all try and butt in.
Nudge in.
No baby yet either.
Hey, what do we think about this rookie movie at it?
I don't know.
I saw him out. I saw him out in the parking lot. I don't know if he has a vote. Yeah, we'll check it. Right?
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
What? You brought trees? Aw, are you still off? Are you still off the camp?
I'll have Easter.
But it don't,
Well, good evening, everybody. We're going to call the Public Works Committee to order. We've got a number of things on the agenda. If I could have people in the audience be quiet, please. We're going to, we've had a request to add an item E, Garden of Eden. So if there's no objections, I would ask that we approve the agenda with that addition. Yes, Garden of Eden. Moved by Charts, I need a second. Second by Desher. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. And we will begin. We'll begin tonight with the Sanborn Utilities upgrade between 7th to 9th.
All right, I first wanted to start off talking a little bit about the Sanborn construction project that you see ongoing right now. This is an area that has an old 4-inch water main that runs in the east side of the southbound lane. This area, I've been with the city for now about 7 years, and this stretch, we have water main breaks in the stretch every winter. And this last year we had 4 water main breaks in this 2-block stretch. And last year I think we had 6 of them. So this is an area that we really wanted to focus on and try to get the water main replaced in that area. One of the big reasons when we have a water main break, we have to shut down water. And the biggest problem we have is with Taco John's, because whenever you shut off water to a restaurant, then they can't be open. So whenever we do have a water main break, it's really tough because we can't schedule when a water main break happens. So we wanted to get in there and get this water main fixed. To give you a status report, all of the water main up to 9th Street has been replaced, and all the services have been connected into the new water main. Now we're in the intersection of 9th and Sanborn, and I'm going to go to another drawing just to show you the amount of detail that we're going through right now. So currently, the new water main ends right here at this valve, so we're right here. Going across the intersection, it basically ends at 9th, and then it goes along, it goes down 9th, going to the west and the east. It's another old 4-inch water main. We're putting in 6 to have better water pressure, and we don't put in 4-inch water main anymore. So, and it's all PVC, so we shouldn't have issues with breaks. So what we're doing is going through and we're replacing all the old 4-inch going through the intersection. Then we're going to have to put in all new concrete, and that way we shouldn't really have to, dig it up due to an issue. The green line is sanitary sewer, and we knew that in this manhole right here is an old brick manhole. So what we're going to do is we're putting in all new sewer leads going in each direction. They're old clay tile, they're all leaking, they're in bad shape. So as we're in that intersection, we're tearing everything out and putting it in all new. Other than the manhole we're going to come in with a concrete epoxy liner, and we're going to line that manhole. That way we can keep it in operation as we're doing the maintenance. After we get that done with the water and sewer, we're going to backfill the east side and then open up the east side of the street. And so we're hoping the closure that you see right now is only going to be going on for probably 3-4 days. And then once we get everything backfilled on this side, we will come back over here where it is currently closed, and we will redo some of the storm sewer. As you guys know, this area floods about, in sometimes, a foot to 1.5 feet high. Now, some of the reasons of that is that existing storm sewer is pretty much at capacity. And the only way to upgrade that whole system would be is to put in another storm sewer line all the way to the north or down to Dry Run Creek, which would be approximately a $2 million project. So what we're going to do during this project is we're going to revamp the layout and the size of some of these catch basins. Right now, all these existing catch basins are going in this one little box right here, and there's really no flow. All of the lines are fighting against each other, and so what we're doing is we're going to put in, and these all existing boxes are all a little 2x3 inlet. We're going to come in here and put they're called a Type S Sioux Falls box, which will be a 4x6 inlet. So we'll be able to hold a lot more storage than what is there now. And then instead of all connecting to this structure here, we're going to add a new structure onto this 24-inch line, which will help relieve all the pressure and things fighting against each other into this one structure here. Once we get the storm sewer done on this side, we're going to concrete the southbound lanes. And once we have enough cure time, we will, and we'll have all the other stretches going to the south all done and cured. We will move traffic over to the southbound lanes, and then we will work on the storm sewer upgrades on the northbound lanes. That way we don't keep it totally closed for 2-3 weeks. What we're going to do on the northbound lanes is we're going to put in another Type S to replace these 2 existing ones. And then we're going to put in a new manhole right up here, a new structure. And then we will replace this existing structure, get rid of all those leads, and try to make a bigger structure in that area. What we did with traffic control during this time is we put a full closure on the north end of the casino. So Taco John's, casino, Salvation Army, they could all have access coming in from the south. And then we called a Mitchell Concrete and told them about this closure and told them if they got any trucks to try to come in on 7th. Any questions about this project? I just want to give you guys kind of a heads up of what is going on, just in case you guys get any questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, how soon before there is traffic that flows north and south, at least be in a single lane?
From where we're at right now.
From where you're at today?
We're
Next
hoping
week or-
Thursday, maybe Friday, we'll have it back open again. So there'll be back to that two-way traffic in a single lane.
Okay.
So by the end of this week, we should have things open again.
Gary, did we have this included into our budget, or you just, as a whole project, you knew we were gonna run into this situation?
I knew we were going to run into situations like this, so we have money in supplies that we use for projects like this, projects that are going to blow up at us. And then we had money in Sanborn concrete panel repair. So what I used is the money that I had in the Sanborn repair. Then I used money that I had in water to fix that, and then we're using money in sewer to fix the sewer upgrade there, and then I have money in storm sewer to fix the storm sewer upgrade.
You were reading. I just have a general question, and maybe I'm going to phrase it indelicately, but do we leave these things until they become a problem and then upgrade the pipe with bigger pipe and PVC and all that? Or do we have some sort of proactive schedule where we're planning on replacing so much every year, various places?
We have what's called a 5-year plan, and our 5-year plan is a 5-year plan on what projects we're going to try to get done in these certain years. We had 2nd Street and 10th Street on the plan from last year. We did not get to that project last year, therefore we're doing that work this year. So we do have a plan, water and sewer. We have a plan of these are streets that we need to get done because they're in bad shape. We're having water main breaks on those areas. So we have them in a plan of trying to fit them into our schedule.
Did we not get to them because of time or because of money or both?
Kind of a combination of both. This one was a spendy project to try to bid out and try to get done. I wanted to try to get it done as soon as I could, so therefore I used our own staff to try to get the water main done. If I would have budgeted, it would have been a very, very high and costly number. So that's why I tried to do it within the means that I had, as I knew that we had issues, and especially with shutting down Taco John's and some of those businesses, it's just not a good deal. I talked to the mayor about it early, and I said, what do you think about me using Sanborn money and then try to do as much as we can in-house? And it's not just the water guys that are helping, but it's water, it's sewer, it's traffic, it's street department. Everybody's helping on this project because they know it's such a big need.
And Taco John's is not happy, but they're much happier that you got the drive
Correct.
open and they
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And during this process, they actually added another drive-through, like voice box. That way they knew we were going to be shut down, And so they used that time to do some upgrades to theirs.
If there's nothing else on this, you want to move to canal?
Yep. Okay, Canal Bridge. So this is on the north side of the lake. This would be the bridge to the north of the West End Fishing Bridge. 2 Tuesdays ago, we heard that this bridge got hit. This was a hit and run. We don't know who it is, but it is damage to one of our facilities. So I'm going to go through and show you some pictures of what we found. This picture here, you can see where it was the start of the break off the main abutment. Here's another one going up where you can see where it broke it off the bolts that were attached to the bridge abutment. Here's another one. Here's a picture of Dusty's boot. So you can kind of see approximately how far that guardrail got moved out when that vehicle hit it.
Lucky we didn't find a
A
car
vehicle, yeah.
running down the road.
Yeah. So here's some pictures of the damage. And then here's looking from that other direction. Currently right now, and we figured that the car was going northbound, and it hit the guardrail on the lake side, and then it tried to kind of like reposition itself, and then that's when it really hit the damage on the west side. We called our insurance to let our insurance know. Billy was still checking, wasn't sure whether or not this bridge abutment was on our insurance, but she was doing some checking on that. In the meanwhile, we got an estimate from a contractor, and the estimate for the repair of this is $10,000. So I wanted to give you guys a heads up. I thought I had it on the agenda as a appropriations, but I didn't see it in there. But this will be coming up because we're going to need to get this fixed as soon as we can.
Is Lyndon or Leon?
They're in the hall. They're coming.
I have a question for Columbo here. When something like this happens, do we contact the local body shops and say,
Yep.
look out for?
We do only the local ones. Wouldn't cover a surrounding town or self-repair or something like that.
There's no,
Not yet. There's yellow paint transfer, so we believe it's a yellow vehicle, or had yellow on it. We found several parts and pieces that were scattered on the roadway, and they'll have significant damage.
So you actually believe this was a car and not a?
Car or truck, either, yeah, could be. I think there was maybe some speed involved, and, yeah.
Is this doing exactly what it's supposed to do, or do we have to check the bridge?
Well, this is one we're going to do a bridge inspection on anyway this summer. So, I mean, this did what it did to hold the car from going into the water. We will get it, we will get it, fixed up again like it should be. And then when we have our bridge inspection, they'll inspect any of the work that they got done. So.
The contractor who built the bridge was the one who gave us an estimate, and he did look at the deck and didn't think there was any damage to it. Said the railing performed as it was supposed to.
anything else on this one? Alrighty, thanks, Chief. We're on to second, Minnesota Sandberg Street Utility Improvements.
Okay, this one is on your agenda to approve the bid award for tonight. This is a project that we've had on our radar for probably about 5 years. And so we've been taking a look at this project. This is one of those projects that we designed in-house. And what how we go about doing these is we go out and we topo the project, and then we come up with design plans. We put out a bid to redo the water and sewer and storm sewer. And then the street department comes in and we do all the demo of the street. And then the contractor that gets the bid, they will come in and do the water, sewer, and storm sewer. Once that is completed, we will come in and rebuild the base. Rex Winkle Concrete, who got the bid, will do all the curb and gutter, and then commercial will come in and do all the asphalt paving. So that's what this project is about. Back in 2012, I estimated at budget time about what I would need for water, sewer, and for storm sewer. This project did not get go to bid last year because we were still kind of finalizing some things in plans, and we didn't get done with those plans until kind of late summer, and we felt it was too late to put up for a bid, therefore we would get some high prices. So then we just waited, put it on the shelf, and we fine-tuned those things this winter and got a set of plans ready to go so we could get a bid and get a good price for the contractor. So that's what this is. This is 2nd Street. It's an old curb and gutter, old straight curb and gutter section. The pavement is really broken up. It's in rough shape. We're going to be replacing the water. The water main is old cast iron 4-inch water main. Old clay sewer. We're going to replace all the water and sewer. The services to the property line. Then we'll put in new curb and gutter, new ADA ramps, and new asphalt paving. It's 2nd Street from Minnesota all the way to Sanborn.
Terry, as you know, this is a one-way street, and I don't believe there's alley access. People who live on that street, are they going to be able to use their cars?
They won't be able to use the street at all. We'll try to work with them as much as we can, but during the utility portion of the project, we won't be able to let them in there, so they're going to just have to use the cross streets.
How long do you think that
Oh,
will be?
during the utility portion of the project, it's probably going to be at least, I'm just guessing 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. Then we'll come in and do the base work, curb and gutter, so that's going to take another, you're probably looking at just possibly 3 months. But there's really no way to, if we let people come in and use the street, it's going to really raise the price, it's going to extend the project schedule, and it just makes it hard to do. These are projects that is very in need. It is going to put the people, it's going to give them a real big, inconvenience, but it's one of those things that it's about the only way that we could make a project like this work.
I'm just thinking 3 months is a long time. All the groceries a lot. Alrighty, any other questions on this? Then we'll on to 10th to Main to Lawler Street.
Okay, 10th is another project that's basically the same way. We, budgeted during the same time, and we just didn't get it completed in time, so we wanted to add it on there. This project is on 10th Street between Main and Lawler. Old water main, old sewer main, and old storm sewer. We're going to be replacing all that. This section, and let me go to Google Earth real quick. This section is by the old Myers Auto Body. Drainage is bad in this area, and it's by this Palace City Motors. So here's the section right here. I'm going to back up a little bit. We have been meeting with both property owners, and we're going to get rid of this angled parking on both sides, here and here, and we're going to put in regular curb and gutter. Get rid of this kind of drive up, because that's one of the reasons why the drainage doesn't work. And we're going to be widening the street to a regular 41-foot section. Right now it's about 36, maybe even a little bit less than that. But we'll be widening that section, curb and gutter, so their parking will be parallel parking now instead of the drive up to the door. They both have hazardous sidewalk that's along their buildings. They will be responsible for having the contractor replace the concrete where the hazardous is along their buildings. And then they have both agreed that they want to add on some concrete paving surfacing in the boulevard area, so they're not walk on grass from the parallel parking, being it's right at a business. So they're going to be doing a lot of concrete paving and paying for that themselves. Any questions about this project?
Terry, when you widen the street, you do it all on one side? You do it half and half?
Half and half.
Does that impact the sidewalk or anything like that?
No, no.
Any other questions? If not, then we're on to our addendum here, the Garden of Eden.
Okay, I'm going to show you this first. Back on March 25th, we had our bid opening for the Garden of Eden. We are currently putting together the contract for the mayor to sign so he can get started. He's planning on getting started this week, about midweek of this week. And I didn't catch this until Friday, so I wanted to at least bring it up to you guys so you guys kind of knew what we found. And I'm going to go to this other screen. Here is the actual bid document that the contractor puts in all of his information. And it says, for the base bid scope of work includes demolition of all portions of existing building above grade, including haul-off and legal disposal of demolition debris, temporary fencing, and barricades. Then we also had deductive alternate number 2, which meant basically the city would the contractor would stockpile all the material, and the city would haul it all off. Well, at the council meeting that we had, we approved the contractor to haul it off, but we approved both the base bid and the deduct alternate number 2, which we shouldn't have. We should have only approved the base bid, and that was my fault. I just misread it or misthought about it. So we could handle this with one good way that I thought of is, if you guys are all okay with this, let's let the contractor get started this week so we can get that building tore down. I would do a change order and just remove the deductive alternate number 2, if that seems fair to you guys. And I would just add it to the agenda for the next meeting.
So then you're gonna make it so that the city doesn't remove it, so he can remove it.
Right, which is what our original plan was, because at the time, we didn't feel that we could haul it off for the price that he gave us. And the way he wants to tear it down is he wants to tear it down and haul it off at the same time. So
Carl,
it's good.
could I have you come up to the microphone? Carl, please. We're having a little side conversation here, and we're just wondering what the legality of that is. Can we do that as a change order? Is it too big a change?
Seems to me that I didn't look it up myself. I relied on Terry when he talked to me about it for what the change order rules were. I didn't revisit them myself. My first inclination was simply rescind the approval of that option that was previously approved. And there was concern about whether or not that was appropriate to do that in light of the budget, in light of it coming to light this morning, if you will, and not having gone to the press on agenda 24 hours in advance. And I don't have a problem with Terry's proposal in as much as change orders are typically done by the Public Works Department and executed as they occur, and by the time they get to the City Council, they're typically already done.
So do you see us needing to, or any upside to us taking official action to direct Terry to do this other than a wink and a nod here?
Well, I wouldn't call it a wink and a nod. You can certainly express to him that that would meet your concurrence. I would be constrained to call it a wink and a nod because it does conform.
I'm just wondering if we need a motion for the record, if that's something we do here in the city.
If you're in the committee here, you can do it make that motion in the committee, but we don't have an agenda item on the agenda for making a rescission of that previously approved action, which would be my druthers, were we able to do it without potentially risking somebody criticizing us for taking an action that was not on the agenda and to which the press was not given 24 hours advance notice.
Well, since we're in committee action, I would welcome a motion to that effect. I'll make it flowery for the minutes, but if someone's willing to make a motion to, in essence, get rid of the dichotomy. We have two different bids here, and we've got to decide which one we actually want the contractor to do. So if we want alternative 2, that's fine. If we want the base bid, that's fine. But Terry's recommendation is the base bid. So
Direct Terry to go forward with that.
Was the change order?
Yeah, and then he'll have it on the agenda for formal approval by full council, which we almost have. We'd be comfortable with that.
I'm going to say the motion will say the committee recommends to the Public Works Director and the City Council that the alternative 2 bid be dropped and the base bid be taken forward. If that needs the approval. I have a motion.
I'll
I do,
second that.
and a second by Rice. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Is there anything else for the Public Works Committee? If not, Desher has moved to adjourn, second by Smith. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are adjourned. And well, I know.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have someone from First Lutheran here for invocation?
This is from a diaconal litany that was written in 1959. It's prayed weekly ever since then by a diaconal community from across the United States. O God, our caring Creator, make us bold to trust you as beloved children. Christ Jesus, our Redeemer and friend, who for joy became our servant, lead us to joyful service of the needy. Holy Spirit, guide into all truth. Endow us with patience to search for your wisdom. Teach us to speak the truth in a spirit of love. Free us from fear to learn from each other, and give us your grace to be different together. Merciful Father, compassionate Son, and consoling Spirit, remember in mercy the sick and dying, the suffering and persecuted, the fearful and distraught, the bored and despairing. By your goodness, grant relief to all in need and strengthen them to trust in you. And God of grace, who nourishing us on the body and blood of Christ creates us into a new community, make us to be indeed the body of Christ and a vehicle of love and joy in this world until we offer the full and perfect praise forever. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call?
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Rice,
Here.
Jarks,
Here.
Prentice,
Here.
Barrington,
Here.
Gosher.
Here. Having a quorum, we will proceed. I would like to recommend to the council the appointment of Dan Allen to fill the remainder of the term created by Phil Carlson's resignation. And I would like you to consider Dan Allen as that replacement, and so I would welcome a motion to that end.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Dan Allen to fill the balance of the term in Ward 3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Would Mr. Allen please come forward?
Any other choices, huh? Well, I just thought fellow Ward 3 would have jumped right in on that motion second. See if you guys get along or not. Get to the bottom barrel in there.
Raise your right hand, please. Repeat after me. I, Dan Allen, having been appointed to the office of council person, Ward 3, within and for the city of Mitchell, Davison County, South Dakota, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of South Dakota, and the ordinances of said city of Mitchell, and that I will faithfully and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, perform all the duties of the office of councilperson, Ward 3. I be sworn before me on this 5th day of May, 2014. Now, appoint you as councilperson from Ward 3. Congratulations. Thank you.
Marty, you gotta go down.
You want the whole word to come down?
And we have, make it official, so after the meeting, would you please sign?
Welcome, rookie. Let me catch you up to speed.
Keep that end balance going.
You didn't leave me nothing that warrior, did he?
That's my door. That's my door. Get over there on your own.
Approve the consent agenda items. Items appearing on the consent agenda may be removed by a city council member for discussion at the beginning of the formal agenda items. Is there anything on the consent agenda that you wish to have removed?
Mayor, I have some comments on the meeting minutes on page 7. I don't believe they're correct, and what I feared was going to happen in our discussion about the vote slips happened when the number 18 came up out of nowhere. It just kept getting repeated and then ended up in the minutes. No one ever proposed 18 vote slips from the Lake Committee. That number just came out during discussion. So I would like on page 7, Lake Mitchell Advisory to say the Lake Mitchell Advisory Committee made on April 21st, 2014 at 6:25. The committee proposed a layout of vote slips by the Sportsman Club area. Members attending from Pheasants Forever spoke in opposition due to their No Child Left Indoors project located by the Sportsman Club. The committee approved the idea of vote slips at Lake Mitchell, but would like to investigate other areas around the lake. In other words, removing to install. We never approved the installation of any vote slips because we'd never decided who would be installing them, whether it would be a city item or a private item. So I would like those changes made so there's
Okay.
no confusion.
We will make those changes. Anything else?
Does that require a motion?
Well, I'll second the correction.
Sure.
Okay, we have a motion second to correct the minutes of the previous meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I would then entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to approve the consent agenda. Is there anyone in the public who would wish to have anything removed from the consent agenda?
I've just got one other comment. We actually had 2 bids for fuel. Yeah, just a comment. I think that's the first time since I've been on. So there's been 2 bids. So.
Have a roll call vote, please.
Brochure,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Wolfson.
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Rice,
Aye.
Barrington,
Aye.
Jerks.
Aye.
Motion carried. Citizens input. If you need to address the mayor and members of the city council on an item that was not on the agenda, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Anyone have anything for public input? Council? Anything?
I was going to mention, Ken, I ran into Tim Jones. We gave the Public Works report and different projects that we've got going on. And we finished one already on 6th Street right in front of Tim's place that he has kind of worked with the city over the years and requested that something because the drainage there was an issue. And he said that he was so impressed with the quality of workers that the city of Mitchell has from top to bottom. He said they were very thorough, very friendly to work with. The project was completed on time. And so I just want to, with Ron and Terry and the crew, I just want you to pass that on, that he was extremely impressed with the quality and the workmanship that I think we all take pride in it, but I told Tim, I said, typically I don't hear those comments, so it's kind of nice to hear that every once in a while.
Thank you for the report. Anything else? I have one comment. There was an article in the paper about it, but I think it merits special recognition. Mitchell Christian School had a large crew of students and faculty that went out around the city. I understand that they covered about 20 miles. They filled, I don't know if they filled them all, but they put garbage in about 110 bags at 70 different locations. And I think they did a great job of helping to clean up the city, and we really appreciate it. And in addition to Mitchell Christian's efforts, Dakota Wesleyan was scheduled to pick up some garbage around the city as well on Tuesday, but that was the day that it rained, and so it kind of cut down the attendance. But there were some students from Dakota Wesleyan also that contributed, so we want to thank them as well. Next on the agenda, recognition, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources Award for Drinking Water Excellence. Would Richard Polarize please come forward, please? I'm going to read some of the proclamation that we received from the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. It says, Dear Mayor Tracy, congratulations to you from DENR. For 11 consecutive years, the City of Mitchell's public water system has met the requirements of the Safe Drinking Water Act and the state of South Dakota's regulations. 11 consecutive years of supplying safe drinking water to the public is a remarkable achievement. It is our pleasure to present to you the Secretary's Award for Drinking Water Excellence that recognizes your system and the system's operations specialists that they have demonstrated excellence in water system management and maintenance. And with that, I have the proclamation from as the Secretary's Award for Drinking Water, which I would like to present to Richard Polarize. And Richard, congratulations. Committee reports, Public Works.
Public Works Committee met at 7:05 tonight. We had several items on the agenda. Most of them had to do with utilities upgrading. The water main up to 9th Street has been replaced up to Sanborn there. There was $10,000 worth of damage to the Canal Bridge. We're still looking for the miscreants and hopefully an insurance settlement. There were some other utility improvements that were talked about as well. And then for the demolition order for the Garden of Eden, we had a motion where the committee recommends to the City Council and to the interim Public Works Director, Terry Johnson, that the base bid only be accepted for the Garden of Eden demolition project and that the alternative 2 bid be canceled via change order. They are in conflict with each other, and we cannot haul away the debris for the price that the contractor can haul it away. Terry, I just have one question. I should have asked this in the committee. Are we going to send letters to those people on 2nd Street outlining their inconvenience?
Yeah, we'll do the same thing on 10th.
Okay. And we're going to have to close some streets for a bit to get this done, so we're going to inform the residents as well. The committee then adjourned at 7:30.
Entertain a motion to approve the committee report.
So moved.
Motion second to approve the committee report. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion for the City Council to adjourn and sit as the Board of Adjustment. So moved.
Second.
Motion second to sit on the Board of Adjustment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Set the date of May 19th, 2014 for a hearing on the application of Erica L. Wine for a conditional use permit to operate a daycare in her home located at 808 East 5th Avenue, legally described as Lot 9, Block 8, FM Greens Edition, City of Mitchell.
Move to set the date.
Second.
Motion second to set the date. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Entertain a motion for the Board of Adjustment to adjourn and the City Council to reconvene in regular session.
Second.
Motion and second to reconvene in regular session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Award bids, Library Custom Furniture Project, number 2013-7A.
I'll get started and then I'll have Larry kind of fill in probably more with questions. Page 28, we had a bid for some special custom furniture for, the library. And all we had is one bidder. The bid came in, what do you think, 100,000 over budget, or what we thought it would be. And what we think is what happened was some of the local contractors that we sent out bids for, they didn't really get a chance to look at it. They had plenty of time. They just kind of forgot about it and did not put a bid together. So then Sunkota, just so at least we would have a number, tried to work with someone in Sioux Falls, and it ended up coming just way over budget. So what we're proposing is we do not accept any of these bids. We're going to go back through and we're going to work with the, one contractor that gave us the price. We know what the amount of the price that we have is, and as part of change order state laws, with a project that's under $2.5 million, we could have a change order of up to $75,000. $75,000 is about the amount that Larry has available for this custom item. So he's going to go back through and negotiate, and by doing that, we're all abiding by state law rules for change orders. So that's what we would like to propose to do.
So who are you going to negotiate with?
He would negotiate with Sunkota.
Sunkota, and the contractor that gave him a bid.
Come up to the microphone so people can hear you.
Larry Jersa, the architect on the project. The contractor that gave Sunkota a bid was Maloney Cabinet Shop in Sioux Falls. And Bob Fraser, who's the general contractor, he told me, he said, Larry, he threw this together so fast, he did it in a half a day. There's like 15 pages of drawings and details, and it's a typical thing if someone's doing a project and they look at it and it looks to be a $50,000 project and they want to cover themselves, they'll, okay, $150,000, I'll build it for that. That's kind of what happened here. I don't think anybody looked at it realistically. I had gone through developing this in the beginning, talking to Patzer Woodworking, Custom Cabinet Wood Shop, Mitchell. I got preliminary prices from a metal paneling manufacturing company out of Indiana. And looking at all of this bid should have come in at $60,000 to $70,000. And one thing that happened, and this is part of what I want to sit down with Bob Fraser and talk about, was the metal paneling, which I got the first price was just under $13,000, and I made it simpler. I simplified things, and the price went up to $48,000. So I don't know if that person made a mistake or he didn't read things right or whatever. There's something out of whack there. The custom furniture stations, I had gotten prices in town to do that. That was way out of whack because the local guys didn't bid it. I got numbers from local contractors, and part of the issue here, just so you all understand, I'm looking at two cabinet shops in Mitchell. Patzer Woodworking builds cabinets a certain way. The other cabinet shop builds them an entirely different way. And they don't really overlap. Patzer won't build face frame cabinets and he won't do custom stuff. He just cranks this continental type cabinet work. He just cranks it out so fast. He's a mass production guy. The other guy is more of a craftsman and more of a custom wood person where he cuts every piece and he glues and he sands and stains and varnishes. It's just a whole different kind of operation. So the small guy couldn't bid everything, and Patzer didn't want to bid things that he doesn't do. Typically, he can do them. But then I think that's why they sort of dropped out, because they waited till the last minute. And there was a gentleman from Patzer Woodworking asked me if I could extend the bid for a week. They'd get me a bid next week. I said, I can't do that. I mean, you guys had it for a month. And Bob Fraser and I actually went to Patzer Woodworking shop and discussed this with them. And I'd been talking with Custom Cabinets about the same thing. And anyway, the whole thing just ended up where they just didn't look at it.
So how come we don't just reject this and start over again? Why are we negotiating this?
We're going to reject it, I think.
Yeah, we're technically
Then I think
rejecting
they'd come back with the specifications.
We're technically rejecting it, yes.
Will you go back to Patzer, will you go back to the local?
Well, that's what I'm
quality?
saying, yeah.
Will you go to the local people and work? I don't believe a word what you're saying about Patzer. I had Patzer build my cabinets, and they did very good custom work. So I don't like you say that you mass produce.
Well, maybe that's the wrong terminology, but.
To tell a local company that they're doing something wrong.
Well, no, let me rephrase that then. Talking with Ryan at Patzer's, a lot of this woodwork is face frame work. He said, we don't do face frame work. I said, I thought you were a custom cabinet shop. He said, well, we can do it, but we're not really set up for it. We're set up for frameless cabinets. Well, part of this whole custom cabinet or this custom woodwork stuff is we want to do stuff that's a little heavier duty, a little heavier quality, because it just gets beat up so bad at the library. That's one of the problems why in the past things just don't last, because they're not built solid enough. And the other thing is we want to reuse some of the slate tops that are on the existing circulation desk. I mean, there's a lot of old slate there that we want to use for new tabletops because it makes a good work surface, and the stuff's very expensive and don't want to just throw it in the garbage can. So we're building new table bases for those and reworking the slate to get a good quality tabletop and a good heavy duty tabletop. And that's the part that the custom cabinet shop, they do that kind of stuff. Patzer was more looking at him, more doing the workstations, the big items, My thought was if each of them got with Suncoda, one could bid part of it, one could bid the other, because I've been trying to support the local businesses. That's number one for me. So anyway, it just, it just kind of all fell apart at the very end.
If I could interject here, they are asking you to reject the bid. And the options then would be to respec and relet, or shop it, if you will, and come up with the best solution that they can and bring it back to the city council in the form of a change order that would be within the statutory limitations.
Well, the thing that set my alarms off was this going back and negotiating with SunCoda. And, my experience has been if you reject a bid, you're done, and then you respec it or you rebid it. You don't go out and talk to one company and say, what can you do?
Well, and that's part of what, for me, the simplest thing for me to do is to continue on working with Patzer and Custom Cabinets and say, okay, can you build 4 table bases for $6,000, let's say? Now, how do I do that? Can we buy that from a shop and then go to Patzer and say, build these workstations for $21,000? Can we buy that? I mean, I can part and piece the thing out, but I'm not sure, I guess, what I'm allowed to do legally. I don't want to, go do some things that aren't, above board, I guess.
The change order would be to the general contractor, my presumption.
That's correct.
And, but the actual suppliers and of the materials and labor, installers, if you will, would be subcontractors to the general, and they would be the local contractors, if you will, as subcontractors. Or alternatively, respec and rebid the whole thing if you think that would be more amenable, where you'd have the builders, the cabinet makers be actual contractors under a bid versus subcontractors under the general.
I guess that's what I would like to see, is reject the bid and go back out.
We got to reject the bid either way.
Yeah.
And go back out and redo it.
Steve was just explaining to me, I didn't understand that this was the general contractor. I thought this was just the cabinet.
Yeah, this is
No, this is the general contractor. See, and the general contractor, he's the guy that's going to assemble the shelving for us, and I wanted him involved in that because he's the guy on the job scheduling everything. So why bring in someone else when he's and plus we got prices from Brown and Sanger and from SunCoda, and SunCoda's was half to assemble the shelving. So in terms of dollar value and being cost effective on all that, that's the way to do it. And plus, there's part of this project is we have so many moves that we have to do. We're moving from one side of the building to the other and doing part of this, and it's just a moving kind of not a nightmare, but a sequence that has to be followed and watched closely. And we're just trying to do it the most cost-effective way. And that's all I was trying to do. Now, for us to re-spec everything and bid it all out, that's fine to do, but it's going to we're trying to get this whole project done in August, but the first part of June, they're going to be moving from the library temporarily and moving back to the north side of the hallway, all the offices. So now the library is going to be, half of that's going to be shut off, and we have all that moved to do. So we're just trying to finish the north half of the library and move the first part of June, and then about mid-July, we're going to have half the library done, and then by the end of August, we're going to have the other half done. But each time we do one of those, we got to move stuff around, and that's why I wanted the contractor there, because he's going to be, it's just going to work a lot more effectively.
Larry, if SunCoda's the general,
Yes.
you said you're going to negotiate. What are you going to negotiate so he can get this done?
Well, he got this big number from Maloney Cabinets, and I don't necessarily say we're going to have to use Maloney Cabinets out of Sioux Falls. What I'd like to do is sit down with him and say, let's get some of these pieces from Patzer. Let's get some of these pieces from Custom Cabinets. And if Maloney can do some of them, that's fine. But let's look at, first of all, let's look and see where this thing got out of whack as far as budget goes. Because the numbers they just aren't even close. They're just not even close. So there's something really haywire there. And I had a meeting after our project meeting last week. I had Bob Fraser and I talked about sitting down Wednesday and having him explain to me the line item numbers and get with Maloney and find out what's so expensive, like what did they figure? And there's just some things I have to investigate with him to see where we're off. And just, because there's just a big red flag that came up, this is not even close, based on the preliminary numbers that I got from the local guys. So if we have to back up and go back to the local guys and kind of part it out that way, that's the way I'd really like to do it, but.
I think that would be a good thing to do, but, from what I read from the council here, but they're gonna have to come back to the city council before anything is contracted in any event. So if that can satisfactorily be done, it'll have to be to the satisfaction of the city council.
We have a motion and a second to reject the bid. Do you want to make any recommendation?
I'd just we'll let it play out, knowing that it has to come back to the council.
Yeah.
So do you want to play it out as to rebid it or do a change order?
If they rebid it, they'll be setting a date.
Yeah.
Till they set a date, there's no rebidding on the table.
The thing that concerns me about the change order is I feel like we don't have any control. And I'm not really too keen to throw another $75,000 in library furniture. So, I mean, if you want to talk a little bit to these people and get a read, and if we can do it, that way without spending a lot of more money, that's fine. But if it's going to be a deal where they say, well, we can't do it for this, then I think we have to rebid and go back.
I think the 75,000, they're not asking, he's not suggesting it'll be an additional 75,000. They want to bring it down to within the total value of, total cost of,
So
within the
instead of
budget.
190, we're going to be at 75
Yeah. Yes, that's what
for the total.
The entire project, I'm watching the budget, the entire project, we're not gonna go over budget. We have plenty of money to finish the thing, but this particular piece is just out of whack. That's all. So the most effective and efficient way for me to do it is to sit down with them. We'll sit down with Bob and the subcontractors, all three of them, maybe Maloney, Patzer, and Custom Cabinets, sit down with all of them and figure out what we can come out.
I have no problem with that. I've been reading the library board minutes, and it seems to me like you're Mr. Detail on top of things guy.
Well, thank you, and I'm trying to do that. And we have $70,000. I want to get the thing down to no more than $70,000. That's what we have to get it to. I still want to have some construction contingency in there because, well, one thing came up just last week. The floors in the old community room were an inch out of level in the existing building. Well, we have to level that floor up. The bathroom floors are way out of level. We're putting ceramic tile on. Well, we have to level those floors. It's just little unknown things of existing construction that I still want to have a contingency to deal with those little oddball things.
How'd they get out of level? Were they built that way? Or
It was built that way. It was built that way. And another thing we discovered, the three windows on the east side are two different sizes, and they all look the same. It's just little detail things like that change, some things on site. They're not big dollar items, but we have to fix them along the way.
Now, if we rebid, we're looking at probably a month and a half before we could even open bids again. By the time we do the 20-day new publication, by the time we give contractors time to look at it. So that's the other thing we're looking at is how can we do that and try to still keep with schedule?
The decision's yet to be made depending on what falls out,
If you did the
what
change
plays out.
order, and then you're gonna talk with the local companies to see if they're still interested, right?
I still would like to have the local companies do it because I know the kind of work they do and I'd like to, and the quality of work, and I know them.
They should be able to do
I'd like to
it.
keep them involved,
They should be able to do it for less than somebody who mobilizes from out of town.
yeah.
We'll
And-
see,
And that's the
see how
thing,
it
it's
plays
just,
out.
it was just one of those things, they didn't, the bid didn't get pulled together by the two guys with Sunkota, and that's really what happened. So Bob was just, and Bob's, he's a great contractor.
Bob is
He's
who?
just, Bob Fraser with Sunkota.
He's a
And,
Sun Coda guy.
And he was just trying to, get us a number and keep things pressing forward. But it was at the very last minute because he didn't find out that these other guys weren't gonna bid until Monday, and the bids were due Tuesday.
In other words, give him numbers,
Yeah,
or bid independently.
yeah.
Okay.
And like I said, the other thing is, the numbers that I gotten from the metal, paneling guy that was gonna do the canopy tops, that's way out of whack. I gotta find out what's going on there too, so.
Larry, is there a possibility that, and I think it'd be good to work with the local contractors to try to come in with what we originally had in the budget? And are you still confident that we don't have to kind of cut on quality in order to get to that 70,000 is my first question. And number two is, can we have, once we get these kind of the specs and work with these people, as you brought up Maloney from Sioux Falls, but just ask, once we get these numbers in place, ask someone in Sioux Falls where they would be, and then that way it's somewhat of a competitive bid, but yet we're still keep moving on this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
that's really what I wanted to do.
What's the construction load in Mitchell right now? Is it heavy, extraordinary, or just springtime?
Well, the cabinet shops are busy. They're really busy. These two anyway are. And one shop is small and the other one's big, That's, and they build two different products. And we can use both products. But one doesn't build one and the other one does, and the other one doesn't build one that the other one does. So it's a good mix to support the local companies, the businesses. It's an excellent mix. And speaking of local, I found a retired guy that is refinishing the old existing doors. Instead of replacing those, he's putting new lacquer, cleaning them up, and instead of buying a door for $1,200 a piece, we're cleaning the ones up for $100. I mean, that's
Like those?
yeah, that's the kinds of things we're doing. And like I said, reusing the slate, that's stuff we just don't want to throw away. We don't want to throw away good doors because they just need refinishing. We don't want to throw slate that costs $50 a square foot, throw that in the garbage can. Just trying to be pragmatic about the quality of stuff that's there and we want to reuse. And we're actually reusing a lot of the cabinets that were already there. So, we're being, pretty frugal as far as some of that goes. And anyway, I just wanted to be sure, whatever way I went about this, that it was, legal, I guess. I don't want to do anything that's.
It would be legal.
All right, we have a motion and a second then to reject the bids from Sun Dakota.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Any other questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Award bid ambulance for fire project number 2014-25.
Hello, Paul Morris, Assistant Chief for Fire and EMS. This is to replace a current ambulance that we have that is a 2000 Ford E350. It has 86,252 miles on it. We received one bid from Premier Specialty Vehicles for a Horton ambulance, $139,109. We budgeted $140,000, so we're under budget on this bid.
So, Paul, why 8 months?
Pardon me?
Well, it says delivery date, 8 months from award.
Because when we set that up, we pulled like 3 or 4 different ambulance vendors. Some of them were 6 months out for turnaround time, some were 3 months out, some were 8 months out. So that's what we set it at, so that everybody had the opportunity to bid.
So does this mean it's going to be 8 months before we get the?
Very well could be, yes. Yep.
They're building them to order, is that what they're doing?
Yeah, all of them
Essentially.
do, yep. There's only one company I know that does cookie cutter ambulances, and that's a company out of Canada. And I'm not familiar with the quality of those ambulances.
Why would we get only one bid? Any idea why?
Pardon me?
Why only one bid?
Well, when we wrote the specs looking at the different things we like on the current ambulances that we have. And one of the ambulances we do have right now is a Horton ambulance. And it's probably one of the best ambulances we've had in Mitchell for as long as I've been here. And so we wrote the specs to include a lot of the features that they have on there, nothing brand specific or anything like that. And they're the only ones who came forward with a spec, a bid spec.
Is that the one with airbags that you're
Yes.
talking about?
Yep. Yep.
What else about that one do you like?
It's probably one of the smoother riding ambulances that are out there in that price range. You can certainly get up to that $200,000 mark for an ambulance that's going to be the creme de la creme. Unfortunately, we don't have the budget nor really the need for something that expensive, so that's why we've gone with Horton.
Is there some sort of difference in the medical package inside? I mean, I know nothing about ambulances. Is there something that's built in? I mean, is there a lift or something that makes it different from other ones?
No, you had mentioned the side airbags in the back for the passenger, for the paramedic safety. Just the layout and design, it's its own, and we designed it around basically the same kind of layout as our other Horton ambulance that we have now, more for ease of use for the paramedics, so that all the equipment is in the same place in the same ambulance, or the different ambulances throughout the station.
Notice, but I don't. How many ambulances do we have?
We have 4 right now.
And is there a logic to 4?
It's always been that way. No, I don't know that there's a logic to it. I know we need 4. 2 of our ambulances right now are primarily in-town response units. This ambulance that we're replacing, that's what it was primarily for about 75,000 of its miles. The other 2 ambulances are used for transfers to Sioux Falls, Minneapolis, Omaha, those kind of places. We're kind of getting to that point here probably in the next couple of years, if we start to see, with all this building that's been going on, as our population starts to increase, we're probably going to be looking at a 5th ambulance.
So, and this is a little off the subject, but not too much. How many EMTs do we have? In other words, I'm trying to figure out how many emergency calls. We have 4 ambulances. Do we have people to run 4 ambulances if we needed to?
Yes, and we do get that many ambulances out. There's been a few times, it doesn't happen that often. I would say probably maybe a half a dozen to a dozen times in a year where we'll have all 4 ambulances out.
Wow.
I think there's a motion underway to have all the fire and emergency personnel qualified as paramedics.
Yes, that was a 10-year goal I set when I got into the position, and we're slowly increasing those numbers. I don't know if we'll quite make it, but through attrition and training our current personnel up to paramedic level, we hope in that 10-year period we'll be 100% paramedic service.
Paramedic as well as firemen.
Paramedic as well as firemen, yes.
I would move to accept the bid from Premier Specialty Vehicles Incorporated for $139,109.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the bid from Premier Specialty Vehicles Incorporated for $139,109. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Award bids, Second Avenue from Minnesota to Sanborn Utilities Project 2014-6.
Page 30. This is to replace water, sewer, and storm sewer on Second from Sanborn all the way to Minnesota. As you can see, we had 4 bidders. Lowest bidder is Thorstad Companies out of Del Rapids, South Dakota. We have not worked with this company before, but we talked to some other cities that worked with them, and very good, rapport. We would recommend awarding to Thorstad Companies out of Del Rapids for $223,864.80. Now, I would make it contingent on the reappropriations that we have in the council packet later on tonight.
I would make that motion.
Okay.
We accept this bid with those recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the bid from Thorstad Companies for $223,864.80 with a contingent proposal also. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Award bids, the 100 block of East 10th Sewer, Water, and Stormwater Project 2014-21.
Next page, this would be for the replacement of water, sewer, and storm sewer on East 10th from Maine to Lawler. Once again, we had 4 bidders. We would recommend awarding to Menning Backhoe out of Mitchell for $64,002.20.
You know, Terry, I mean, I'm not opposed to this company, but we're just talking amongst ourselves here. How in the world is there $100,000 difference between the low and the high bid? Does Manning Backhoe know something the other people don't, or do the other people know something Manning doesn't?
Well, Manning is the local, so I think that has a big part of it. Manning wants to do more and more work in Mitchell. He's doing the Avera Queen of Peace project and other things like that. I can't. Maybe they overlooked something or
Terry,
underlooked
I
something.
have to wonder, 377 lineal feet of 8-inch PVC pipe. One company bid $103,000 for it, and another one bid $14,000 for it. Is there a typo in there?
Could very well be.
And what's confusing is the dollar, he got the bid up from the first one we did, and the line item that Steve is talking about, their bid was $44.20 on line 15, and it was $225 per.
275 down here.
Yeah.
For the same material.
Yeah, you probably had a bad unit price on that 175, on that 275 at $3.77.
Yeah.
Something didn't fall
Line
off the back of the truck,
line
did it?
16.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Don't the unit prices control,
yep, 'cause that's what we go
and
by
do we need to
too.
look at those bids again?
Well, I don't think.
Or are they just, it's out of there either way?
I think that's.
It's
the one that's out of there.
anytime they have an error, you gotta use what their unit prices
Gotta,
are.
the unit prices
Yeah.
control.
Our favor.
But,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, if it was in our favor,
but-
we'd take it,
You
so
know, so that's their bid.
it just
Yeah.
begs the question, I guess.
Yeah.
it's out of there either way is what you're saying. That particular one.
Well, I would move that we accept the bid from Manning Backhoe for the 100 block of East 10th work.
We have a motion and a second to accept the bid from Manning Backhoe LLC for $64,002.20. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Set the date of May 19th, 2014, or such other date as the council shall determine for a hearing for the city government determination based upon the consideration of all relevant factors that there is no feasible and prudent alternative to the proposed demolition as nuisance abatement of the fire damaged structure at the address of 205 North Duff as required by South Dakota codified law governing properties listed on historic register. This request came as a result of the request from Loretta Larson regarding the use of the chalk stone from the demolition of the VFW building. We discussed whether or not to put on the agenda the request to deal with that request to use the chalk stone, or was the issue of the nuisance overriding the issue, and whether or not it would be a moot point to award the use of the chalk stone if in fact there was some other determination made regarding the future of the building. So what we're going to do is set a date to hold a public hearing on the question of the abatement of the nuisance property, and it is still on the historic register, and that is one of the things that complicates this whole process and has complicated it for a number of years. This property, I think, has been before the city council for something like 13 years to be considered as a nuisance property. And very little work and improvement has been done to the property over the years. And in addition to that, there's been a fire that destroyed much of the interior of the property. And I don't know how accurate the figure might be, but we've been told that the cost to renovate the property may be several hundreds of thousands of dollars to do so. So what we're trying to do is somewhat bring it to a conclusion of sorts, or at least to have a public hearing, allow both parties to present whatever information and or evidence that they would have, and so that we can proceed. There has been already a court proceeding on this property, and at that time, it's my understanding that they made, the court made a declaration to have the plumbing, the electrical, and all of that inspected so that the court can get some idea of the condition of the building. I think that the inspections have been done, but I don't know to what end. I don't know that there's been any resolution after having received and having the inspections completed to make any conclusion as to what the future of the building should be. But at any rate, talk to Carl about setting the date for the hearing. He thinks that there might be a number of witnesses. I understand from previous conversations with Loretta that she has an attorney. So I'm guessing that this will be somewhat of a, I don't know how lengthy, but more than a brief hearing. And my thought might be that if it's an hour or more, that rather than having it during the course of a regular city council meeting, that we maybe consider having a special council meeting just for this hearing. And so, and I asked what might be a prudent or reasonable time to allow the parties to prepare for this hearing. Carl thought a couple of weeks or thereabouts would be adequate time. So I think that we could set the date now for sometime 2 weeks to a month in the future, and that we, if we can tonight, come to some agreement as to what that date might be, and have a special meeting just for this hearing would be my recommendation.
Yeah. I would suggest as a consideration the off Monday between council meetings, Mayor, if that, to pick a date. No better or worse than any other date. We need a quorum. The city council will sit in a judicial capacity, sometimes called quasi-judicial, but witnesses will be presented, and city council will be called upon to make conclusions.
Have we let the bids for this demolition?
We can't until we decide we're going to do it.
Okay, so there's no contractor?
No, and that's that
I
part
can
what
give you
complicates the
somewhat of a
process.
history.
The demolition of the VFW will not take place until the bid is awarded to whomever the contractor might be that's going to build the city hall. So, and I guess we can't really speak for the contractor who's going to demolish it as to what his wishes may or may not be regarding the use of any of the chalk stones. So I don't think that the bids for the city hall haven't even been announced yet. It's going to be sometime in the future before we are able to set a date for accepting the bids on the city hall. It's probably a couple of months out for sure, so we can maybe have some resolution even before that.
This is going to go on for a long time. My belief is several levels of potentially going for a long time, several levels of appeal, but this next step would be for the city council to fulfill the requirement of that statute.
So is
and
there
I would
a date,
suggest the Monday between the next two council meetings, if that's agreeable, or any other date that.
Yeah,
I'm
if
thinking,
I were the lawyer for the other side, I would say you're rushing in and I couldn't do it.
yeah, not the Monday between this council meeting and the next. I was thinking of the
Yeah,
Monday
that's Memorial.
subsequent.
So
29th or the 23rd?
That's Memorial. It probably isn't the best.
What about the Tuesday though, the 27th?
Like Wednesday, the 28th, give people plenty of time to get back from their vacations.
I am gone that week, that whole week.
Ward?
I'm assuming we need to have, what, 5?
We gotta have 5, but if you want to slip it another week after 13 years, what's another week?
June 9th?
June 9th?
Gives everybody plenty of time.
I would move to set the date for June 9th.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second to set the date for the hearing for June 9th. Any further discussion?
Well, this is on topic, but a little off the topic. Since this has come up, people have been talking to me about a house on 4th Street that had the fire. And now the mice and the rats are collecting, and they're wondering when that's coming down.
The Habitat for Humanity has, I don't know if they purchased or somehow have acquired that property, and they have gotten a contractor who has volunteered to raise the building for them, and I understand that they were going to try to get that done soon. I can't give you a specific date, but I think that situation has been
Quicker than 13
Yeah.
years.
As the frost was coming out of the ground,
I talked to one of the gentlemen from Habitat for Humanity last Sunday, and they said they're going to try to get it done within the day.
Yeah, that's what I would.
I ran down all the supposeds, what was going to happen, and they did appear, everybody confirmed that they did have arrangements. That was as the frost was coming out of the ground. I'm surprised it hasn't been done yet. I will follow up on that myself.
Mayor, did we start the meeting earlier that day? I mean, not that, I mean. at 7
Whatever your
o'clock
wishes
or
are. We could have it at 5 o'clock if you wanted. I mean, I don't,
Instead of the 7:30 regular, since we're having a special session, if we get started at 6:30, would that be?
6:30?
Are you talking about the
June 9th.
The hearing.
June 9th? It could take an hour, it could take
Well, we can start it at.
3 hours. Oh, yes, on June 9th. We can start anytime.
Yeah, I don't think we voted on it. We had a motion and a second to set June 9th at 6:30 as the date of the hearing.
6:30?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you so much.
Hearing on the application of Image Guild Incorporated for a special event malt beverage license located at lots 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, Block 18, Original Edition, and to obtain a special events malt beverage license, consumption and noise permits, and include blocking off of the 100 block of South Main Street and the city parking lot in the 100 block South Main for the times that were requested for the Memorial Weekend in Mitchell and barbecue cook-off on May 24th, 2014. Have the floor.
Dan Schneider with the Imagine Guild. A couple things I wanted to correct. I've got one error on the request sheet that we asked for. Last year, the total fees were $1,940, and I said you guys donated $1,400. It was actually $1,040 with us doing $900. If you add them up, they don't come up quite right. But again, that was an error there. And we had talked with the barbecue teams. We're asking if it would be possible if they could set up on Friday night and possibly take down on Sunday versus Saturday morning and Saturday night, due to what all goes on that night and the setup times. And some of them like to take in the event a little longer and just tear down on Sunday if they could.
Any discussion, comments?
Will you just, for the internet audience, tell us the Imagine Guild and what you're doing this for?
Our group, we were formed back in about 7 years ago. It used to be just a bunch of guys that put together a poker run and stuff for cystic. It's all for cystic fibrosis. We decided to come to the city and make this a citywide event. For the last 6 years, we used all of Main Street to promote the whole event for us. This year, we have scheduled back a little bit. We're just going to use down by the depot area. We've lost a bunch of our help in the last year. It's just, we're going to focus on the things that we're making money for cystic fibrosis and then hopefully grow this back into what we had the last few years. After proceeds, everything that we make goes to CF. The group is not a profit organization. We are a nonprofit. It all just goes to help trying to find a cure for this disease.
How much have you made in the past?
Oh, I'd have to go back and look. I think we've been averaging between 20 and 30,000 a year. The event's been going on for 12 years, with the last 7 being the large scale we've been doing.
Did you say 20 or 30?
20 to 30,000 after expenses.
And just to make sure, and you're again asking us to waive the fees, $968 worth?
Correct. I'm asking for 968
Last
with,
1,040.
right, it was 750 out of our pocket.
Okay.
With some of the expenses going up, the cost of our pork is run up about $1,000 compared to last year. And we've lost a lot of our people, so we're digging into our funding, trying to make as best we can to still keep our level of donations as high as we can keep it.
The only other thing that's not on here that I would request that you look at just for simplicity is the parade permit. So we don't have to come back to the traffic commission and the next council, and so they know everything's approved. If you could wrap in a parade permit included in this
And
also.
there is a map on the sheets that I sent in.
Oh, I thought the parade permit was all part of this, but it's not? Or
It's not
say
listed,
that it
it's
is?
not listed as part of the motion, or the request up
Oh.
there. It should be, it got omitted, so.
Okay, I
just-
took the math as me.
Yep. I'm just saying, make that part of the motion.
Well, we have had a policy in the past of if people, for example, when the lights went in at Hitchcock, the tennis people came and they paid some money and then we paid some money, and same thing with the hockey. And to me, this is in the same boat. They're raising money for charitable organization. They are not asking to have all of the fees waived. They're participating at roughly the same level that other civic groups have. So I would move that we accept the application with the addition of the parade permit and remit the fees as described on page 32.
We have a motion and a second to approve the application to include the parade permit and the waiving of the fees as indicated on the documentation that was provided. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Look forward to seeing whoever's in town down there that weekend. Thank you.
Hearing on a proposed resolution of necessity for 1,400 to 1,700 blocks of East First.
I'm gonna have someone grab the lights.
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, Dave.
He's been working on it.
We got a little work.
He's got the right switch.
Yeah, Danny, how's it feel like being replaced there?
Pretty good.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. This is a public hearing, and what we'll do is we will discuss the project and invite anyone to come up to voice their opinion on this. This is a special assessment, which means that if the council approves the resolution, we will need a petition of 55% of the property owners of their total cost of the project to vote no in order for this to not proceed. This is a project that we've been looking at. We've had requests on for probably a couple years now. And so I'll show you where the project is. This project is on East First, starting at Marshall, going all the way to Tiger Street. And here's Tiger Street right here.
Is that the apartment complex?
Yep, this is the apartment complex over by this is what's called the Woods Development. And then this is, there's a new apartment that just got, apartment that just got built here. I think there's 9 units or something like that with driveways that all come out to the street. If you go, this is basically a curb and gutter section through at least here, and I think here, then this is no curb and gutter. This is all curb and gutter, both sides going to the west. So I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see what it looks like. So here's what it looks like. You can see curb and gutter on the north side of the street. We'd be starting at Marshall. Let me go back.
All that came off your RGPS?
No, this is Google Earth. Pretty cool, actually. So as you can see, curb and gutters on the north side, no curb and gutter on the south. And what this proposal would be is to put in curb and gutter, concrete approaches, and then if the property owner wants to add sidewalk, they could add sidewalk as part of their assessment. But those sidewalk costs are not part of this assessment. A number of people have talked to us about, can we add sidewalk when we're doing it? And we told them you could. And once we do, if this gets approved, we will build this summer sometime. And then we will send the bills to all the property owners next spring. And then it'd be a 10-year payment on their property taxes at 8% interest.
Terry, what's the rationale for doing this?
Rationale is there's no curb and gutter on the south side. A lot of times when we get a storm event, it goes in and creates a lot of storm issues to the people to the south. And a lot of this area too, a lot of their lots are a lot lower. So this will direct that storm water down to Marshall, then go into the storm sewer that's at Marshall and Hanson.
Is that big enough to handle the additional water that we don't put a flooding down there and that end?
We've had different issues down there, but it's such a long stretch that I think it should handle it. And we'll keep an eye on it. If not, we might have to upgrade some inlets and upgrade some storm sewer down at Marshall and Hanson. All depends on what kind of rain event you get. For most rains, we're not going to have an issue. For some of the bigger ones, we have an issue in some of those intersections now.
So I lived in that area over there, and
Yeah.
when it rained 2.5 inches of rain in 40 minutes, it flooded the whole area.
Yeah.
We just don't want any additional where it backs up to more neighbors' yards.
The other thing this would really clean up that south side where you got a lot of driveways, and we get complaints from some of the people, especially up here where Doug Malumbi's shed is, and then Dennis Hartman, where they would like to. They're tired of the gravel, the rock, and they want to just clean up their area, and they want to do sidewalk to have that path going towards the woods, but they'd like to get it to where they're not dealing with the gravel and the rock and try to get it cleaned up so they could have concrete approach going all the way out to the street with curb and gutter section. And we've had requests to do this area, so we said it'd be a special assessment, and we would put a project together and see if it goes.
Now, right there, Terry, are you going to have both sides of the road curb and gutter?
We're only doing the south side, all this stretch. So maybe at a later time we'd come in and do this stretch, but I think from here on it's out of city limits.
And the way our ordinance reads is if there is curb and gutter, then sidewalk is required.
Right. We're not requiring it as part of this project. We would require it at a later time through sidewalk committee. Now, if these people want to put in sidewalk, we're letting them put it in as part of this assessment for the 10-year payback.
So you're saying, starting here, they're not in the city limits on either side?
No, the whole south side's all the city limits.
How does that work? Just that's the dividing?
Yeah, let me go to this map. I think it's on here.
Terry, while you're looking, obviously you can't say an exact dollar figure because it's going to be different for each landowner, but a typical lot, what would the cost be of this? Is it $1,000? Is it $10,000? What?
Typical lot, I think it was, let's go to page 45. page 46. Typical lot was 2,200 to 3,500. There were some lots that were 13,000 and 14,000 and 7.
Those must be the,
So typical lots were right around 3,000, where some of the bigger lots, more driveways, they were a lot more.
Which one is the new apartments?
The new apartments is the 14,000.
There's no problem with that fella?
I didn't have anybody come in and complain or not want this. I had some people say, this is a long time coming, I hope it comes through. That way I don't have issues with flooding in my own yard. And these are people that are on the south side of the street.
Terry, going a little back to Jeff's question, if our purpose is to get sidewalks all the way through the city, why wouldn't we do the sidewalk at the same time?
You didn't want to assess that much?
No, I didn't have an issue with that. The only issue I had was it's two different types of assessment. The sidewalk assessment is, if the city council deems that a sidewalk is needed, the property owners do not get a say whether or not they want it or not. The city council gets the say. As for the curb and gutter, and I was probably trying to keep costs down to make it a little bit more reasonable. If for a special assessment, usually we don't do a street assessment and add sidewalk if there is none. We just do the paving, the curb and gutter, the building, the base, things like that.
And you know, for me, this is no different than another place in town that would have curb and gutter but wouldn't have a sidewalk.
We're going to get there.
Well, we'll get there someday. But.
yeah, for what, I think when he's trying to restate what Terry is saying, sidewalk cannot be petitioned out. Curb, gutter, street.
This could be petitioned out. So I think I was doing a combination of two things. I was trying to keep costs down, so hopefully we could get this to go through. So we have a fair amount of people that really want this to go, just because they've been waiting for this for, I've had requests on this for about 3 years, and we've got a petition together last year, and I said I would try to work it through so we could get it done this year. Hopefully, if we don't get a petition against it. And if you guys approve.
I'll just give you a little bit of history. The reason that it's on one side and not the other, the north side wanted it several years ago, and we did it. They wanted the curb and gutter back here. So that was, gosh, probably in the mid-90s. We put a project together to put the curb and gutter in, starting here at this intersection going back to the west. Now the south side wants it, basically, so.
In other words, you structured it so that it would be acceptable and not petitioned out by.
Yeah.
Yep, and that side still doesn't have sidewalk on the left-hand side or on the north side.
Does it start at Foster?
Yep.
What?
Does it start at Foster?
No, Marshall. This project starts at Marshall.
So Terry, I know that this is not what we're talking about, but I did have someone request on Maddie, which is just down. I'm wondering when Maddie will kind of get any more work done on it.
That is a unique question. We could go to that. Well, let's finish to see if there's anybody who comes up, and then we'll talk about Maddie before we're done with the hearing. Okay? Is there anybody here that wants to come up and talk about this area? All right, let's go talk about Maddie real quick. And then we will come back to this. Okay. Here's Maddie Street right here. And Maddie Street is actually platted all the way from the highway. It's platted as an 80-foot roadway right-of-way because our BY Water, our main feed, comes along the highway and then comes up through here and continues on across this valley. This road is built from First Street going all the way down to, it says Sam, but it's called Quiet Street right here. Okay? Chuck has a TIF that borders up to the right-of-way line of Maddie, and the golf course has a TIF that borders up to the right-of-way line of Maddie. So there is neither TIF that actually will improve or build Maddie Street. So what we are looking at currently is doing an assessment project, kind of like what we're looking at for First Street. The only thing is those property owners are going to have to pay for water and sewer that will go down the street on Maddie Street to serve future lots that are along the golf course or future lots that won't be served by these, either by these lateral streets for the Woods development.
So right there on the corner of Maddie and Quiet on the
southeast corner,
there is a new property.
Yeah.
So what happens to that person? Because they're the ones that actually right here and now they need it.
Yeah. Ron and I, and this was of course before, but currently right now this is what it looks like. But there is a house here, and their driveway actually comes out to Maddie with the gravel trail or whatever. So we told them, we told Bob Mueller, who's his builder, that do whatever you need to do in order for them to get access. When Ron plows it, he'll plow it past their driveway so they have access. But they're going to end up probably putting in gravel until we could try an assessment. Now, when I do the assessment, what I'm looking at, let me zoom out here a little bit. What I'm looking at is I'd probably do a couple, maybe about 1.5 blocks. I'll look at which areas I think I could get approved or get enough people that would be for it in order to get it to go through. I'd probably at least try to do an assessment project all the way up to Birch Street. Because I know this person here is for it and this one is for it. And then there's a guy down here who built some duplexes. He would also like it. So I might go to about here and see if I could get it to go through.
And the one in between, it's an empty lot?
Yep, this is an empty lot, and this is all golf course. And I think it's platted actually future lots going along there. But it's a tough deal. The other thing that we talked about is, what about the possibility of adding, we could add proposed streets to our STIP program, to our federal funding routes. But does it make sense to add this stretch in there when the whole community doesn't use this, use this area all the time, where it's mainly used by this general area?
So, but it has to be, you're saying that eventually that has to be completed anyway because of the...
Of the development?
Well, no, because you said it's platted or it's...
It's platted, but we have other streets that are platted and not built in.
Okay.
The other possibility would be is if this, now as part of special assessments, you can have the city pay for part of the assessments. We don't commonly do that because it's in some ways not fair to one assessment to the other, but the city could help pay for some of the water and sewer. Usually we don't do a special assessment on water and sewer because we leave that up to the developer and make the developer do it as part of their first chunk of money that they're putting into their property. In this case, we don't have a developer.
So so it's not, so one half is one developer and one half is the other developer and neither one got the street.
Right. Right. And either one of them says, well, I don't need that street because they already got their developments that are working.
They didn't get it for the TIF. In other words, they can't use
Right.
tax increment to pay for it.
It's a very unique situation, and about the only way we could do it right now that seems workable is the special assessment, but like any of those special assessments could get voted out.
Historically, these things, till the pressure gets high enough to overcome the opposition, they don't get done. When the pressure gets high enough, a way will be found, and the mix of city and assessment funding has been done in every imaginable way over time. But whether this council thinks that that's appropriate at this time is a whole other question.
Well, poor Maddie is an orphan. I mean, when we do TIFs now, are we looking at this kind of thing where we don't leave orphans?
Well, that's the question, why, when the second TIF was issued, that was not included, since the first, it wasn't included by the first TIF, why did it not say, why did it not say you're gonna have to take this road too, or, I mean, no.
Yeah.
Chuck, you know that?
Pardon me?
Why the second TIF? I don't know, do you want to come up or?
No.
Poor Maddie Street's in a basket.
You're the only one that can
Nobody opens
answer
the
a
door.
question though.
Sometimes I feel that.
I'm Chuck Mashesky, the developer of the woods on the left, and Dave Backlund and the golf course is on the right. I agree that Maddie Street is unique. What I do know for sure is, and somebody asked something about a TIF, my streets run east and west, and every lot on those streets is served by sewer and water, and so they're able to be developed and they're in good shape. I can't speak for Dave Backlund, but I think it's a public use road. My clients go west, all of them, and even if there was a road there, I think they'd go west. Some might cut down to the highway if it got that far, but my clients wouldn't be heading out of town, they'd be heading into town, so they'd go west. And so as I've looked at it, as much as anybody, it just isn't of any value. If I said everything there, sewer and water and all that stuff. Love to see it happen, but like anybody, even a TIF that's, some have accused me of not having it be my money, I think it's a waste of money as I look at all of it.
Sure.
So hopefully, and I think Terry touched on some good ideas, sharing things, general fund, as I call it, 5-year projects, because it would be good for the public. The Foster Street gets used a lot, and it would be second most used to that, if we could go through there. Wished I had a better solution, I almost always do.
So that's why it wasn't included into the second TIF.
Right, it just had no value.
Yeah.
And I had other things that I wanted to spend the money on, and then we're always calculating taxes. I had some happening over there, not to get on a tangent, but the church bought some land a year ago, and so I didn't have to put in Hanson Street, so that really helped. Right. And technically, I do have some of the TIF in the area of Charles Street, and I know Terry's familiar with it, but it isn't really helpful to what you're talking about now. So if I am under budget, and it looks like I'm going to be, 2 years from now, there could be something there of value.
So are we about 2 years into this second TIF?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
so we got 3 years and.
Yep.
And seem to be building more homes out there.
It's really good, and there's different opinions on TIFs, but this has accelerated this project by 4 or 5 times the pace. Yeah. I think I'm probably going to finish my last 2 streets this year.
Okay, perfect.
And the pace has been amazing, and that's good for everybody, because the taxes come back sooner.
Right.
So I'm in the last 30% or third of the lots over there already.
For whatever it's worth, in the 50s and 60s, when development was done in the city, paved streets and curb and gutter weren't required. Wasn't until enough houses were built on gravel, and the people demanded it, wanted it, and were willing to pay the assessments were streets installed in new developments. It wasn't until the 70s.
It wouldn't be very expensive, if this is what you're saying, to get us from First Street to the highway on a cheap road.
And that's kind of, remains a default position, I guess, when people bordering it demand it, they're willing to pay the assessments.
I want to talk to Terry on this subject this summer too. I've got an idea just over there today that could help that subject. There's a ravine there of trouble, and I would be able to see using my TIF to help that $80,000 problem go away. So we'll be working on it.
The one key thing with Chuck's development, he's got all dead-end water and sewer. Sewer is not an issue, but the water is. So if you don't have a whole lot of use, you're going to have more stagnant water. So when we do this project, even if Backlund said, okay, I'm never going to put lots on my development, then we would possibly just not do any sewer, we would just do water. That way we could get it looped, that way they could have better water quality, and we wouldn't be on dead-end lines. The one problem with the dead ends on Charles, Sneed, when they get built, hopefully this summer, and Birch, is they're all dead ends. So if a fire truck ends up trying to fight a fire on that end, they gotta either go back or try to get a way out of backing up the fire truck 1,000 feet in order to get out of there. So those are some of the issues we run into on a dead-end street that's a long dead end.
Don't you have an issue with residual requirements of chlorination and dead-end lines?
And that's why we have to flush areas like this a little bit longer.
I think Terry will make me do it, and I want to do it. We'll be looping our water lines in all these places, so the water will loop.
So they don't end up with stagnant.
Yeah, and pressure is a lot better.
And it's going to help with less calls Chuck will get, less calls we'll get, sellability for Chuck's development and everything.
We need to get back to the issue on hand, please. Resolution 31.
So with that, we could proceed to resolution 3173.
Did you make a motion, Randy?
I would move that we go with approved resolution 3173.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution 3172, 73, excuse me. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 3181, South Dakota Department of Transportation recognized Mitchell urban boundary depicted by state and local offices in pursuant to the Federal Aid Highway Policy Guide of 1991, tabled from the April 21st, 2014 City Council meeting.
This item was tabled from the last meeting due to some questions about functional class. After talking to DOT on Friday, DOT would like, they were going to come tonight and discuss how functional class works. They are working on some other streets that are involved with some of the streets that they're looking at for functional class. So they are wanting to remove the next item, resolution 3182, off the agenda until June. So therefore, we just need to discuss about the urban boundary. The last time urban boundary was approved was back in 2005. And this new urban boundary is based off the 2010 census. So when the census goes out, they look at numbers between the city and the county, and they create this urban boundary. This is pretty much the same urban boundary that we approved back in 2005, other than the expansion of the Woodland Heights area, and I'll zoom into that area right now. It is the area down by Carl Road. That wasn't in the urban boundary that we had before, so the only change this map is making is this area down here. That's including what's in the city limits on the north side of Carl Street.
So Terry, is urban boundary a fancy way of saying city limits?
Not really, because the pink area is all the city limits. So urban boundary is the definition of urban growth. So it'd be between the city and the county of where, when they went out and did the census, they came up with locations where a majority of people were living. And that's the definition that DOT comes up with the city of where we think the urban boundary is at. They use quarter lines, section lines, roadways, creeks, streams, and railroads.
So what value is the urban boundary? I mean, why are we adopting it other than to keep a state employee in?
Urban boundary defines functional class uses for the city comparative to the county. It doesn't mean anything to do with ownership, it's just that we depict an urban boundary of our functional class streets that are within our boundary, and then the county has everything outside of that for their usage. The reason why DOT wanted us to run this through tonight is because they need to turn in their urban boundary stuff of all Class 1 cities by the 1st of June into the feds. So that's why they wanted us to at least run this through. And based off the last meeting, it didn't seem like we had many issues with urban boundary. We had more issues with functional class.
So, and I don't have an issue with this, but I'm just curious, what if we don't approve this? Are we seceding from the union or something? I mean, what? I just don't understand why the state's so hot to have this done.
Federal, I don't know the reasons why, just federal government. The feds wanted the most recent urban boundary approved based off the 2010 census to be into them by the 1st of June. That's.
Is this the only section right now of
Yeah.
the city limits that is not within the boundary?
It's the only section, yeah.
So that's probably the reason.
That was the reason why when they did the census, and this came in as an area that is outside the current urban boundary. And it's also related to where the existing city limits are from the urban boundary.
Wasn't there concern over whether or not this would affect in
What's
some
the next
way,
one?
Federal?
It's the next one. Yeah.
The next item.
Functional class is the one that.
Yeah.
That's the next.
I'll move to approve Resolution 3181.
Second.
Motion and second to approve Resolution 3181. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 3182, I don't know how we want to handle that, but they have requested that they come back in June to meet with us.
I would just remove it. And
So I don't think we want to table it. I think we would like to just.
Table it, then it remains to be brought back to the next.
Yeah, I would move to table it till
Yeah,
June
that's
2nd.
the actual action.
I don't know that they're going to be here on June 2nd, though. That's the.
Well, we can
Future
table it
council.
again if you want to.
But table it until it's put back on the agenda.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's just continue to a date certain. Table is not a date certain.
If I'm tabling to June 2nd, that's a date certain. You know, it'll be on the agenda June 2nd, and if they don't come, then we can move it again.
Yep.
Now, I can give you a little bit more information.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to table Resolution 3182. Further discussion. Terry?
I do got a little information about functional class. Functional class changes has nothing to do with funding. The Class 1 cities, we get our funding based off our population of the 2010 census. And DOT will be here in June to talk about funding, to talk about functional class changes, and to talk about policy that has been in place by the feds. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of information until they come in June. So.
Yeah, and I got old guys who have coffee and who have nothing else to do except look at council agendas, and they want to know how in the world Sanborn Avenue turns from a principal arterial to a minor arterial. And frankly, I'm curious too.
And they'll explain that all in June. But a lot of it has to do based off the new functional class manual and the new highway bill.
Okay, and Terry, will you point out that some of their descriptions aren't correct on page, especially page 55? You can't have East Douglas Avenue from North Minnesota. Route 10,
Okay, South Minnesota.
and it has to be West Douglas.
Okay.
One
Yep.
One other thing on that, the zoning and planning committee wanted him to bring it when the state was here to talk about Foster Street.
Yep.
When that plan that is.
That was just commented on in the.
Oh, yeah.
Zoning and planning said they wanted to know.
Yeah,
They
but
said to bring it.
that didn't necessarily
I understand
deal
that.
with functional class. though.
I understand that.
Okay, I will let them know about that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table Resolution 3182 to June 2nd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Resolution 3183, a plat of Lot 4A, Block 1A, and Lot 4, Block 1 of CJM, Second Edition, a portion of previously platted Blocks 1 and 1A of CJM, Second Edition, northwest 1/4 of Section 32, and a portion of previously platted addition in the northwest 1/4 of Section 32, and a portion of previously platted irregular tract number 3 in the southwest 1/4 of Section 32, all in Township 104 North, Range 60 west of the 5th PM, City of Mitchell.
Mayor and council members, you probably saw that there's a copy of this plat in your agenda packet. A little feedback here. And as also you would notice in the planning commission minutes that they recommended approval of this plat. Basically what this is the property owner who is to the butts up right on Harmon, they wish to acquire the piece right directly behind them that would go up to that Anthony Avenue. And it complies with the ordinances, and so the planning commission recommends approval.
Move to approve 3183.
Second.
Motion second to approve Resolution 3183. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 2471, an ordinance of the City of Mitchell, South Dakota, rezoning real property legally described the east 14 feet of the south 624 feet of the north 1,000 feet of Lot 8 and the west 217 feet of the south 624 feet of the north 1,000 feet of Lot 7 in the northwest 1/4 of Section 33, Township 103 North, Range 60 west of the 5th PM, Davison County, South Dakota, 2316 South Holman Street, and is to be rezoned from Urban Development District to Highway-Oriented Business District, and amend the official zoning map of the City of Mitchell.
Move to put ordinance 2471 on second reading.
Second.
Motion second to place ordinance 2471 on second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion second to adopt ordinance 2471. Roll call vote, please.
Barrington.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Cronus.
Aye.
Jerks. Allen.
Aye.
Gosher.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Motion carried. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 2472, an ordinance amending Chapter 8, City Personnel by eliminating personnel policy handbook requirements for employee termination, discipline, termination, and grievance and appeal provision.
Move to put ordinance 2472 on second reading.
Second.
Motion and second to place ordinance 2472 on second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion second to adopt ordinance 2472.
Can I just say one thing here?
Yes.
It's a little off the subject, but I would like the mayor and Billy to look at a program. When we have a city department that's recognized, it's nice to have the plaque, but I'd like to do something more concrete, even if it's just a pizza party or something. And I realize this is not quite on topic here, but it's the personnel policy. It just seems to me like we should do something more than just when we have an incredible record like that, or cash bonus or something. So we could look at something like that.
We'll consider that. Roll call vote. I think, is this we were adopting, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Roll call vote, please.
Smith.
Aye.
Olson.
Aye.
Jerks.
Aye.
Cronus.
Aye.
Allen.
Aye.
Rice.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Gosher.
Aye.
Ordinance adopted. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 2473, an ordinance permitting use of golf carts on public roadways and permitting conditions.
Move to put on second reading.
Second.
Motion and second, place ordinance 2473 on second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
No.
carried.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion second to adopt ordinance 2473. Roll call vote.
Rice,
Aye.
Prentice,
Aye.
Hart,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Darrington,
Aye.
Olson,
No.
Gosher,
Aye.
Allen.
Aye. The ordinance is adopted. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 2474, supplemental appropriations.
Move to put ordinance 2474 on second reading.
Second.
Motion and second to place ordinance 2474 on second reading. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
No.
carried. Motion carried. Consider a motion to adopt.
Move to adopt.
Second. Motion second to adopt ordinance 2474. Roll call vote.
Before you,
Steve's got some.
Go ahead.
and looking at that, that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring it up for discussion was that, you know, I looked through this and I looked through all the supplementals we've had in the last few meetings, or I should say, since the beginning of the year. And to me, it looks like we're putting a lot of money in little funds, and then we bring it and spend it whenever we need it. And I just have a real problem with that. I think if it's a project that we're going to do, we didn't get it done, it should be budgeted for the following year, not just money brought forward, because I think that was money that was supposed to be expended that didn't, should have been put back in general fund and then maybe utilized for debt retirement or something else. And that's just my feeling, and I wanted to voice that.
And I have maybe a similar sentiment, but some of these go back to 2012, so basically I call it our eyes are bigger than our stomach, and in 2012, we took money from the taxpayer for a budgeted project and then never spent it and kept it. And in 2013, some of these we budgeted for projects that we never did and took money from the taxpayers and kept it, and now we finally get around to it. I guess my point is, let's budget for projects that we know we can get done so that we're taking taxpayer money and spending it judiciously and not coming back 2 years later and then saying, ooh, this project grew by $80,000. Too bad we didn't have time for it in 2012. Taking the taxpayers' money and holding on to it for that amount of time isn't good government. And that's why I'm voting no.
And I guess I would say it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, because some of this is the new accounting rules where you got to take it out, put it in, and all that sort of thing. But to go to Steve's point, so then what happens is we bid projects with our eyes smaller, and so we underestimate, in which case then we don't spend as much.
It's not the amount of money. It's the number of projects.
No, but what I'm saying is as I understand your concern, we've taken on too much.
Yeah, we did 5 projects. Say we did 5 projects.
Right.
And we only had time to do 3.
Right. So we took money from the taxpayer that we didn't use because we couldn't get to the project.
Correct.
And what I'm saying is, then what city employees are going to do is they're going to say, well, the council doesn't want us to take on more than we can do. And so they take on less projects.
But it's not the city employee's job to decide which projects they take on.
Right.
It's the council's
Just let me finish my analogy here. So then what happens is we have extra money because we've taken less projects on because we don't want to take on too many. And so now we have money that we hold over.
Why would we have that money? You don't budget it. You don't request it. The budget goes down.
Well, I guess when we're looking at these things for the people on the internet, we're looking at drainage improvements, roofing repairs.
Yeah, all projects that were bid
sewer
in
utilities.
2012 or 2013, not this year's budget. There are projects that we did not do in the years that they were budgeted, and now we are doing it.
Steve, where do you find what year they were originally budgeted?
If you look,
Page 67.
So are you arguing they're not necessary projects?
They might not have been necessary in 2012. They couldn't have been necessary in 2012. There was no catastrophe that required them. Otherwise, we would have had to get them done in 2012.
they went through, they're actually for the 2013 budget. If you read there,
Or
it
even
says,
2013, Terry.
Correct.
If we don't get the project done, we need to look at that budget process, and then let's only budget what we can get done.
Now, this will be a double-edged sword because.
I understand
Because
that.
a lot of
but-
times for state projects, by the time we have a work order or a contract,
Fine, so then we delay a year.
but we have to have the money in our budget at the time that we start that state project. By the time that we get a bill from the state, it could be 2 or 3 years down the road that we have to keep rolling that money over from year to year to year, just based off the state's accounting billing cycle. So we're going to have an issue with our own city projects. If we don't get to a project on a certain year, we could roll it back. I mean, I could just let that money go back to general fund and just re-budget for it again in that following year. If I know at the time when I'm budgeting, and usually I know by then whether or not I'm going to get to it or not. We could definitely do that. But we would just be going through that billing cycle once again.
I've never seen budgets done that way, so.
Well, and then
They were never done that way in the school system.
Yeah, the other issue that I have with having it go back to the general fund is right now we have a system where departments budget, and then they know if they don't spend that money, it's going to stay with that department. I don't want to get in a situation where we're encouraging departments to spend down the money so it doesn't go back to the general fund.
That can be controlled by what we allow them to spend the money on.
Well, I think once it's, I suppose.
To me, once it's budgeted, doesn't mean that it's spent or can be spent. Budget is a request, not an approval.
My philosophy on a budget is that you look, so many dollars that we hope you can get the project done, you budget it hoping you get have the project cost less, so at the end of the budgeting period, there is money left if we're doing what we're saying we're going to do, getting the best deal.
And I understand that, and the flip side of that is you have money left, and so you then do more. I guess, I look at what should a city do? And a city should have good streets, it should have good water, it should have good sewers, and it should have good protection.
I agree. But it should be spent efficiently, not, I guess we think we should get this done, and if we don't, well, that's okay, we'll just do it the next year and the next year.
Are any of these weather related?
No, they're projects we designed in-house. So instead of going out and hiring a consultant, we did the work in-house with the limited staff that we have and working on other projects to keep things moving. This is a project we designed, that's why we fell behind. We didn't get it designed by March in the spring of the year. We could have had this project out. I could have bid it and in June or July, had high prices, and we would have to reject it because we've been way overbid. So we waited. We did the best that I felt was the best for the city by waiting until the following year. That way we could get a better project designed and bid.
I forgot where we're at.
We have a motion to adopt, so.
Okay. We have a motion to adopt ordinance 2474. Roll call vote, please.
Gosher,
Aye.
Allen,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Jarks,
Aye.
Barrington,
Aye.
Tronis,
Aye.
Olson,
Aye.
Rice.
No.
Ordinance is adopted. And I want to make one comment. This is not on the agenda. However, at the last meeting, we had a discussion on panhandling, and I think Carl prepared a document for you to review. And I guess without having a vote, maybe just some comments as to whether or not you want us to put the ordinance on the agenda for the next meeting, or do you want to have further discussion if you've had an opportunity to review the document?
I guess I've reviewed, there's some questions I guess I would have, and similar to comments that were brought up when we had the discussion of the way I read some of those is we can't have, it'd be illegal for kids to go up to somebody's house and sell raffle tickets. The way that's written.
Okay, so, I don't know.
So maybe we need
we-
either
we-
more discussion.
we could
or-
have it-
Put it on for discussion, then in case anybody from the public is.
Or do we want to put it in first reading and then
I think
amend it before
Bring it, put it in first reading, and if there's parts we want to
tweak?
tweak or cross
Okay.
out
You want to do that?
or ask about, we
Okay.
can do that.
All right, we'll do that.
Yeah, there's some things that I know that happened in Mitchell that if we put this in, we'd be making criminals out of people trying to do honest things.
We don't want to do that.
Okay, we'll put it on as an ordinance for the first reading on the next meeting. Consider approval of the authorized finance officer to create the following debt service fund for debt retirement of tax increment district 3112-TID number 18, Starlight Estates.
All this does is create the funds so that I can pay the debt on the tax increment district.
That's the new apartments south of Menards or Menards area over there. Yeah.
And we haven't created this before, or this is?
Not the debt service.
Not the debt service part? Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second to authorize the finance officer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consider approval, application for renewal of RW-20237, a wine license to include video lottery for Leaders Sporting Goods located at 515 East Spruce Street, annex into the city of Mitchell.
Did this have video lottery before?
And it's just a renewal?
Cindy Roth, Deputy Finance Officer. When he had a malt beverage license and a wine license, and I'm in the process of renewing the malt beverage licenses right now, and he asked about his wine license. I did not know he had a wine license. Renewal never came to me to renew it. I called Carol Logan with the state, and she said with council approval that we would be able to renew his license.
We don't limit wine licenses.
No, but we do limit the video lottery that goes with it.
It's not active, is it?
Yes,
Oh, it is active. Where's it active at?
at the sporting goods.
He's got video in the sporting shop?
He's got the capability.
Yeah, that's
So
what
if
it's
he's going to
got.
have video lottery, he's got to serve the liquor, right?
He has to have the license.
He has to have the license to,
I don't know whether he serves or not, I guess that's.
Why does it say annex into the city of Mitchell?
it was a license that came from the county. He applied.
But it's,
The malt beverage license and the wine license was acquired through the county.
right. And the
And,
building that he's holding it now, though, is in the city?
yes.
Backdoor acquisition.
That's
correct.
Yeah,
Move to
I-
approve.
there's nothing wrong with it, it's just.
Have a motion and a second to approve the application for the renewal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
No.
carried. Motion carried. Consider approval of maintenance and financial agreement for project NH 0037 10977 PCN 6496 Lake Mitchell Spillway.
Page 69. This is a financial and maintenance agreement between the City of Mitchell and the DOT. The DOT will be designing a sidewalk to go on the west side of the spillway. It'll be an 8-foot wide walkway. We will need to make sure that we have $139,206.50 set aside for this project. That'll be in a budgeted item. And then the state was planning on designing and building it this summer. So we might not get a bill on it like we were talking earlier this year, but we'll probably get one next year, and it could be the year after. Who knows how that goes. We will be required, this is just an agreement between us and DOT that we will be paying them the $139,206, and then we will be also doing maintenance on that section. So we'll have to remove under item B, snow and ice removal from sidewalks, maintenance and repair and replacement of this section, compliance with the ADA, and debris and litter removal like we do on any sidewalk that's a city sidewalk going along city property. So I don't see any issue with this. This was drawn up by DOT. So I would recommend this agreement.
Is this 100% of the cost?
Yes, on this section, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
This is the one that we talked about before to see if you guys wanted to proceed with. And
Move to approve.
Motion second to approve the maintenance and financial agreement. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Can I bring up one thing?
Certainly.
Carl gave us a copy, and this is for Lyndon. Carl gave us a copy of this agreement for this piece of military equipment we're going to get. And in the contract, it says utilization of property received through the 1033 program must be placed into use within 1 year of receipt and utilized for a minimum of 1 year unless the condition renders it unusable. If the property is not placed in use within 1 year of receipt, it must be transferred to another authorized agency, et cetera, et cetera. What does that mean? If we get this thing and we never have a use for it, we park it in the garage, are we in violation of our agreement?
We'll utilize it, because we'll utilize it for training and different things throughout the entire year.
So if we drive it around the block once, it's used?
Oh, yeah. I mean, even if it's sitting in the garage like our ladder truck, it's ready for use.
If we take possession of it, it's ready for use,
right.
then.
Now, if we set it out in some field, don't ever intend to use it, don't upkeep it, that's different.
Then we'd be in violation.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just wondered if we had to have a crisis or something, or they were going to take it back.
No.
Okay.
They can recall it any time.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do not own it.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned.
No, I understand.
Pie in the sky. Maybe too long. I would like
No,
You go there.
I just like to pick here. You know what I don't get about this report? Is how all these figures, that's a visual fact. The ridership is down and yet all of it is perfect.
How much money per ride?
I know.
$20
I know. Makes you wonder why we're in the business.
Well, I can understand why the taxi service. Why is the government competition with this? Because it's rural.
Yes.
There are no class one in town.
Not on the weekends.
$10 a ride.
I got a hard time with
The higher tax, but there's.
How are you doing?
Now, the other thing, and we keep looking at Jessica, it seems it's due because of the unduplicated services, 80 to 100 people. Just keep getting the mileage over and over and over. Those 80 to 100 people. All those are for underserved people in our community. They're not subsidizing their transportation.
I know it's typical. This bothers me.
Every single budget balance is up. I think it has
Yeah, not a problem. I'll be listening to you.
didn't get it by accident.
We don't get away with that. No, I agree, but, well, I was just gonna say, I constantly. Sometimes I think we can use budget, so that.
I'll follow you.
Well, one direction high now.
Yeah.
We've had our.
Yeah. See, that's what the school used to do, that's, I should bring that up to Steve. So do we have that, city administrator, is that what you're talking about, that maybe you adopted the position too?
One of the biggest reasons why you have there's a lot of money that budgets push back, because what happens when we need to change that budget. That's why I really didn't want to bring it up that.
How are we doing with the other?
Pardon?
How are we doing with the other?
We're interviewing Wednesday. Yes. And, most of them have ties to South Dakota, not all.
And what I've always done is, most of them in his training, he said, never have administration or master's. So, big item was insurance, I use that towards the end of the year. Whatever I spend on my budget, if I got to
Yes, yeah, I think that's the stuff we're gonna want to deal with. We got a water main break, we gotta fix it. I can deal with it.
No, and I appreciate it. Welcome back.
Oh, all right.
You're being quiet.
I was quiet
What
tonight.
did you change from Ward?
He's representing different people.
Yeah.
Boom, send it in, you're done, right?
Yeah, we do.
Little handier, huh?
Yeah, it's nice to be able to do it online. We used to have to wait.
Yeah, I
Put it
remember.
in Word and then transfer it.
I remember back in the days, I can't remember who it was, but I gotta get down there before deadline and stuff like that, and now I've seen you in the last one too, a little bit, to sort of click it the good way, and it's doing it well while you're here.
Well, even when I started, we only had one laptop. And it was,
Are you serious?
I can't believe that. I don't know how I ever did it without.
I'll be operating down there. All right,